Tonight, our special transmission as Google's Project Nimbus comes under scrutiny for aiding Israeli military tech. Assalamu alaikum and good evening. This is Muslim News Canada on Muslim Network TV. I'm Zahra Saeed. It has been 202 days since Israel started attacking Palestinians indiscriminately. Casualties in Gaza continue to surge. In the past 24 hours, Israeli assaults have killed 51 Palestinians. 75 have been injured. Despite international warnings, Israel is advancing its planned ground invasion of Rafah. There is relentless artillery shelling in the eastern part of the city. Palestinian civil defense is seeking an independent investigation following the discovery of 3 mass graves in Khan Yunis. So far, 392 bodies have been discovered in these graves. Mohammed al-Mughayir from the agency alleges organ theft by Israeli forces. He says some bodies had their hands tied with abdomens open. Mughayir says 2 bodies were found wearing hospital gowns. He also says their limbs were missing. The Israeli army withdrew from Khan Yunis in the first week of April. The withdrawal comes after a 4-month-long ground operation in Nasser Medical Complex. Pahar Lodmer, a senior officer at the United Nations Mine Action Service, says it could take 14 years to clear the debris in Gaza. He says finding unexploded bombs in the densely urbanized territory will be a huge challenge. Lodmer says removing rubble of destroyed buildings will also take significant effort. Israel's far-right National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir has been involved in a car accident. Footage on social media shows Ben-Gvir's car overturned and paramedics tending to him on the road. He has since been transported to the hospital. His office says he is conscious and will continue to receive medical treatment. The death toll from Israel's war is staggering. At the time of writing, at least 34,356 Palestinians have been killed. A report by the United Nations estimates another 8,000 civilians are buried under the rubble. 77,368 have been wounded. Israel's revised death toll from Hamas's attacks stands at 1,139. The United Kingdom is pressing Israel to permit foreign observers to visit Palestinian detainees held in Israeli prisons. Reports suggest Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is considering approving the request. However, Security Minister Ben-Gvir strongly opposes the request. Ben-Gvir is demanding reciprocal access for foreign observers to visit Israeli prisoners held by Hamas. British and Israeli authorities have not commented on Ben-Gvir's demand. So far, mediation efforts by Egypt, Qatar, and the United States for a ceasefire in Gaza and a hostage prisoner exchange have yielded no results. Hamas insists on halting Israel's offensive as a precondition to prisoner exchange. Israel refuses to completely withdraw its troops from Gaza. Israeli Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir is asking police to create emergency security response teams to protect Jewish communities and institutions around the world. The news comes as educational institutions in the United States are grappling with pro-Palestinian protests. Students are demanding a ceasefire and divestment of universities from Israeli companies involved in genocide in Gaza. The activism has spread to French and Australian institutions. Israel's far-right politicians dubbed the protests as anti-Semitic. On the other hand, Jewish pro-Palestine students deny threats to Jewish peers. Canadian Member of Parliament Matthew Green has introduced a motion probing Google's involvement in providing technology to Israel's military in the Gaza war. Green says Israel's military is utilizing artificial intelligence for surveillance and targeted airstrikes in Gaza. The surveillance system is allegedly supported by Google's cloud platform named Project Nimbus. It is a joint Google-Amazon project. Project Nimbus is a $1.2 billion contract with Israel. Green is demanding a clarification within 15 days. He says he will summon top Google executives in Canada. The news comes as tech workers in Google's offices in the United States are protesting the project. Google CEO Sundar Pichai has warned employees against disruption. The company has fired nearly 50 employees for protesting against the project. Similar protests have occurred over Amazon's ties with Israel. Google denies its involvement in weaponry. The National Council of Canadian Muslims is calling on the Speaker of the Legislative Assembly of Ontario, Ted Arnott, to lift the ban on keffiyeh. The advocacy group says the keffiyeh is a symbol of Palestinian cultural identity. The group is calling the ban anti-Palestinian racism. The news comes after Ontario legislator Sara Jama was removed from the chamber yesterday for refusing to remove her keffiyeh at Queen's Park. Jama argues against the ban, calling it racist and arbitrary. She vows to continue wearing the scarf. The keffiyeh was banned from the legislature in March. Since then, the ban has faced opposition from all party leaders, including Premier Doug Ford. The New Democratic Party attempted to overturn the ban. However, the motion failed to pass. A Montreal journalist is facing criminal charges for covering a protest against Scotiabank's investments in an Israeli defense contractor firm, Elbit. Despite identifying herself as press, Savannah Craig was arrested along with protesters. She now faces potential imprisonment. Charges against journalists typically do not hold up in court. However, the case has drawn condemnation from journalist advocacy groups. President of Canadian Association of Journalists Brent Jolly says Craig's arrest is part of a crackdown on journalists who cover police actions critically. Political figures have not commented on the situation. The British Columbia Human Rights Tribunal has ordered a massage school in Fort St. John to compensate a Muslim man with $10,000. Majid Shahadat was subject to discrimination by the school. When Shahadat called to book a massage, the school's director, Joyce Middleton, asked him to confirm if he was Muslim. Middleton cited negative stereotypes about Muslims. The tribunal ruled that Middleton's discrimination denied Shahadat access to a public service. Middleton's anti-Muslim defenses led to an additional $2,500 fine for improper conduct. Thank you for watching. Our news is produced by Muslim Network TV, which is a not-for-profit organization. We need your support for donations. Please scan the QR code on our broadcast or visit muslimnetwork.tv to donate now, so we can continue to amplify the voices of Muslims in Canada and abroad. Assalamu alaikum.